Yo, Saf. Hey, can you hear me?
Here,
Oh, I don't
yes,
hear
I can
you.
hear
Hey,
you. I
hey,
can hear you
all
now.
right. Hey, Chris, behind the scenes. Wow. Hello to everyone who's here and will hear us later, who we met in person or virtually this past weekend at the amazing Kabi retreat. This retreat that was virtual and physical. What a super, super cool experience to feel that there's no boundaries between us. Well, welcome to the Great Transition, everyone. We are
Hello.
looking, hello,
Yes.
hello. We are looking at what is
hmm
going on in the world today as we, humanity, is going through this very unique transformation where nature is relating to all of humanity, every nation, every color as one. We're going
Hmm.
through a very, very unique and special transformation to a spiritual transformation. And here on our show, we're looking at what's going on from week to week through this special lens. We experienced something very, very unique this week. Actually, I thought it was because of what we did this past weekend. I thought we made such a good connection together, such a good spiritual connection together that it just shook up all the wires. But anyway, for anyone who
Hmm.
was under a rock on Monday, Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp went down.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
oh yeah, what did I say? Twitter? Yeah, Facebook, Instagram,
They're
and
all the same. All the same. All
okay,
the same.
Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram, and WhatsApp went down, and that probably affected, I don't know, a couple 100 million people or more, maybe a
I
billion
think
people.
more. Yeah, probably more. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
hmm
We are all sucked into these systems. I know all of us are constantly communicating on WhatsApp all the time. And
Yeah.
there's billions of people around the world who are communicating on Facebook. There's algorithms that are feeding us uh, whatever they want to feed us for their for
Whatever
their
helps
innovation,
make money for the
or
shareholders.
whatever
Yeah.
other nefarious things are behind it. But
Sure.
where we're going gradually, people aren't going to need antidepressants because of these. You heard these kind of studies that the
Mhm.
Instagram for kids is making girls feel more depressed
Yes.
and more suicidal, and that it's
Yeah, there's
causing
a
more
lot of
hate and all this.
self-esteem issues and
Yeah,
self-image.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So where we're headed, we won't need any of these outer tools to help to manage our emptiness and our depression, because we're
Mhm.
headed to a place where we're going to be in a network where each person, wherever they are in the world, is surrounded, is uplifted. Their spirits are raised because we're going to. Well, let's get into that in a little bit. Let me tell you for a second though.
Okay.
When I heard when I heard that WhatsApp and Facebook went down,
Mhm.
the kind of first imagination I had was that Mark Zuckerberg was in a room with the head of the CIA or whatever it was, and because I talked to some programmers, and they're like, oh yeah, yeah, well, some guy, he hit return too soon. I mean, they said it in a more technical way, but it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, they just they forgot to you know plug that one wire in, and the whole thing went down. I'm like, come on, guys. In my imagination, um, Mr. Zuckerberg was sitting in a quiet room, nice wooden furniture, maybe wood paneled walls, glass of water in front of him, and the CIA director or somebody was sitting across from him. Mr. Zuckerberg, we're going to need access to all of your
We're
controls there
we're gonna need
because.
it, and you're gonna give it to us.
And you're going to give it to us. I just want to remind you, Mr.
Uh,
Zuckerberg, who's in charge here, and we need to be responsible for all this information. Either that, or they needed to do it themselves. They needed to do something. But something about it, we understand already that whatever we see in the news, you don't tell your 5-year-old what you and your wife are really planning to do. You feed your 5-year old dinner when it's dinner time. You don't say, oh, we're going to give her this, and then we're going to get that, and then we're going to get her to bed. She doesn't know the
right.
whole big plan. That's only if
hmm
that's in your kitchen. There's no
Yeah.
way that we understand
hmm
what the plans of these people are. But whoever um,
Yeah. Also,
who
it's yeah. I think today it's very it's what's that we. Yeah. By the way, the the Zuckerberg thing, that's really, I don't know. I had a whole, like, suddenly a tangent about Zuckerberg in in a in a second there. I don't know if it's worthwhile getting into. So
Well, open it up and
you
then I'll pull the parachute if it's not working.
okay. No, I was just, I mean, the guy is my age, right? Like, we're almost the same age. And I remember when Zuckerberg, when this Facebook thing just started, right? Um and you would, I don't know if a lot of people remember that, but in the beginning, in the very beginning of Facebook, first of all, the thing wasn't making any money. It grew exponentially. It had millions of people, then hundreds of millions of people, and he was being interviewed in the, in like American morning shows and stuff like that. And they were asking him, how could it be, that was what was discussed in the financial world, right? Like, that there's this new thing took the world by a storm, Facebook, right? Social network, social media. And it's this little, nice kind of, little naive looking dude. He used to walk around with his flip-flops, came to TV interviews with flip-flops, and, not like looking like all like a no suits or ties or anything. And um and the thing wasn't, it was clear that the thing was worth a lot of money, but it wasn't, and still making any money, right? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't,
Hmm.
the advertising mechanisms were not yet in place. And the guy was a different guy, at least, just from um I mean, I had I've been to Facebook with a few guys years ago in Silicon Valley for, like, inside the company, because we had a friend. Anyway, doesn't matter. But I didn't meet Zuckerberg. But the guy just, it just seems to me, how this dude um, was, just started this thing. It started from what? From like a few, he was in college. He created this program to
I
see
think they
who
were
is,
rating girls
they were
actually at the
rating
beginning.
girls, yeah, something like that. Like, he took all the pictures of all the college, students who lived in the dorms, something like that, and created like a ranking app, something like that. Anyway, but, the thing started like that, in kind of, in a very teenage kind of spirit, and then you think about how all of a sudden this guy becomes, one of the eight
Revolutions
people.
are organized, terrorist activities
Exactly.
are
And he's one of
organized,
the eight most,
elections are won.
the eight people in the world that own, half the wealth of the whole world population. Basically, the him and seven other people are the most rich people in the world, and their wealth is, compares to the wealth of half the world's population. So all of a sudden, this guy goes from wearing his flip flops and having a cool idea and noting how to code, and,
Do you think if you go out to
and
dinner, you think if you go out to
and
dinner with him, anyone ever assumes anyone else is paying but him? He's like, guys, I paid the last 15 times. Come on.
right. No, but the change that kind of makes me, think about it a little bit, is how all of a sudden, he has like PR, firms all around him feeding him talking points, and all of a sudden, he has to, like, oh, and now he's responsible for, like, his company is responsible for, like, fake news, and now he becomes like this player in the internet, which was completely brutalized and cannibalized. The internet 11 years ago, or how many years ago, when did Facebook start? 15 years ago, something like that. The internet was a different place. It was, we don't remember it. We don't, we lost sense of it because things changed so fast. But something like when Facebook just started, the internet was, it was only maybe 12 years ago. I don't know, Chris, correct me here, but it was only that amount of time ago, but it was a century ago, in terms of how much we've developed, and how much the internet became this place where you can be bullied and shamed. And again, it's controlled by, the big players in the neighborhood that are making most of the millions of the other people just, pay them money, basically. So yeah, Facebook started at 2006. Okay, so the world was a different place, the internet was a different place. There was still hope. You know what I mean? There was like hope that this thing might actually connect us in a new way, that there's the suddenly the globe is connected, there's, oh, you can be in touch with people all around the world. And and then pretty much like I just see a parallel process between how Facebook became something that has to be monetized, and then this guy becomes like this kind of powerful person who has to like be in charge of all of this, and algorithms that are based on
What
maximizing
was the name of
attention
the
begin. Yeah.
you did a presentation at the retreat this past weekend,
Yeah.
and you presented it virtually. It was amazing. At the end of the show, if you can put the link up, I know you did another version of it on Sunday.
Yes.
At the end, if you could put it there. What was
Sorry, I'm
very
gonna open a bottle and it might make a sound. I'm not gonna hit the
okay.
mute, so let's just let it happen for a second. Okay, there
Okay,
we
there
go.
we go. Let
Yeah.
it happen. It was such an emotional presentation because what I got from it was this real zoomed out perspective that if you're looking at everything frame by frame, everything looks really, really terrible. What's going on
Yeah.
now? But if you imagine what kind of terrible things happened in order to make, like Hawaii, right? Gorgeous place, like one of probably the most
Sure.
gorgeous places on earth, waterfalls and greenery and the animals and the sun. It's just gorgeous, right? If you think about what kind of treachery, what kind of volcanic eruptions,
Hmm.
what kind of plates smashing into each other and heat and had to happen in order to get that there. It'd be terrible and nobody would want to be there at the time.
Yeah.
But if you were like a person who lived for 250,000 years, you had a very 250,000 year life or
Mm-hmm.
more, and you're really tall and you could kind of look down and you'd be like, oh wow, yeah, this is going to be great. But if you're a
Mm-hmm.
person who lives for like 70 years and you happen to be there at the time, it's terrible.
Yeah.
If we so what's going on now, and that's what your presentation, that was like the emotional impact of what I got. The way that you drove that home was that everything we see now going on is like Hawaii before it was Hawaii. Like what's we're moving from, before Hawaii became a place filled with animals and people,
Mm-hmm.
it was just minerals. It was the inanimate level. We always talk about those 4 degrees. We talk about inanimate, vegetative, animate, and then speaking.
Yeah.
So in the same way, if we could live 250,000 years and be really tall and kind of look at humanity now, we say, oh, look, it's starting to become that spiritual creature.
Yeah.
All of the
And and
elements are.
and and you'd also see that the states that look negative and disruptive and destructive and violent are actually like training phases. They are times where we discover our abilities and build our capacities to do things correctly, but at first we have to make a mess. You know what I mean? It's like a kid, like any baby. They have to, when they grow up, they have to make a mess. They have to test boundaries. They have to get, they have to become rebellious. They have to be all those things in order to for their qualities to fruit out and sort of in order for them to bear fruit, so to speak. You know what I mean? And it's the
So,
same with the internet. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
okay, so the wisdom of Kabbalah is saying that is telling us from those who attained it that we're in a field of endless light. Our perception, though, is that it's terrible to be alive right now. There's so much crap happening. Actually, for everybody who was at the retreat, I think they saw that kind of veil was lifted for a moment. What's really interesting about this whole way that we teach the wisdom of Kabbalah? We're kind of giving everyone these tools to build. People ask certain questions all the time on the forum. It's like, you're not, you have to explain to people the answers in this wisdom don't come in through your ears. What
Mm-hmm.
we're doing is kind of giving people the ability to start to piece something together, and then you get an experience like this past weekend. The light then can fill that thing that you prepared, that vessel that you prepared. It's the light that's actually doing all of the teaching. All
Yeah.
we're trying to do is help build that container
Yeah.
where that light can shine in, and then the light will do all of the teaching.
You can never really teach a person anything. No one can teach anyone anything. You can only you can only build their desire, to learn. And in our case, building the desire then puts a person in contact with a new level of fulfillment. That's really, I would kind of summarize as what's happening in this process of sharing the wisdom of Kabbalah, teaching the wisdom of Kabbalah.
So
Yeah.
if you're a caterpillar, coming to the end of your caterpillar days, everything was really bad, like really,
Mm.
really bad. But if you're some of those imaginal cells that are on their way to becoming a butterfly, so
Mm-hmm.
it's different. So when we look, so first of all, the internet went down. I mean, not the internet, the Zuck trio, the
The
WhatsApp,
Zaknet.
Facebook, the Zucknet went down, the Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah. Right.
and the guy
Okay.
really looks like an alien. The Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
This is,
Uh,
this is part of what I was saying earlier. I remember for some reason, like, again, I was fascinated with Facebook when it just started, and he was, almost exactly my age, and so I was following what was happening with him in the first few years, and he wasn't speaking like that even. It's very interesting to see how this kind of like, like inspired, sort of like somewhat naive, programmer, cool geek, who came up with this new thing, just became this like, now he has to like appear in front of. It changes you. This is what I'm trying to say. The people who have the most power and rise to the highest positions in this world, they basically, in most cases, it means they lose more and more and more and more of their free choice, really. This is kind of what happens in the process.
I don't think he has any free choice at all at this point. I mean, not that he did before, but certainly now there's too many levers
And
pulling
of
on him. I
course,
mean,
and it sounds like a paradox to everyone when you say that, right? Because, like, how can you, be so much power, so much money, how can you have less free choice? But that's kind of what is happening. Nature is using certain, people to behave as certain functions in order for certain things to happen.
not only certain people, by the way,
Yeah,
every person.
yeah, of course, yeah. But there is such a thing. I'm not gonna go into a really technical thing now. Okay, let's keep going.
No, no, I would
Anyway,
like you
I
to
I
go into
stop.
something very technical. Okay,
There
you
there's a
digress.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so what we see, everyone, and everyone knows this, or almost everyone knows this. There is so much hate and division. There's so much hate and division. We were kind of home and unplugged not unplugged. We were home for a year and a half, whatever. Now kids are back in school. Chris, I sent you that tweet this morning. There was this big fight in a cafeteria in some school in Texas. I've seen all kind of little videos that come through my feed of some teacher like really getting shouting at some student. I saw another video yesterday of some kid getting his hair cut in the middle of this is some cafeteria in a high school.
Oh
Like the
no.
whole Chris, can you make it big?
Li- yeah, libs TikTok.
Wow. It's like it's all
This is a
over the
high
place.
school in
I
Texas.
think there was actually a shooting as well. I didn't think it really made news because it wasn't one of those mass shootings. It was just, I think it was this school actually. It was in Arlington. It says school in Texas
Wait,
yesterday,
this is a
but there
shooting
was.
event? We're looking at a
They said
shooting
that there
No,
was
event?
a
this is a
fight. There was
fight.
people got mad at each other, and then eventually somebody pulled out a gun and shot like 4 people. I don't think anyone died though.
Oh, it's so sad. It's so
Didn't make the
sad.
news. That's why it didn't make the news, because no one died probably.
So the point is that we are fed all the time why the others are our enemy. We're fed all the time why everything is full of problems. By the way, hey, everyone, there's plenty of energy on Earth. There's no energy crisis. Not at all. Not even close. There's plenty of money on Earth, like plenty for everyone. There's plenty of land. There's plenty of water. There's plenty
Hmm.
of everything. We can calm down. What we see all the time, and there's reasons why that it's like this, because it's like Hawaii, before it became Hawaii. It's this all of this upheaval. But what does the upheaval do? What do these opposing forces? Why do we keep seeing these two opposing forces? This is how nature develops, through two opposing forces. It's not enough to just. The first thing is to understand it. It's not enough to just understand it. What we want to do here is now participate in this transformation. Because by us participating in this transformation and by us using this all correctly, this is like it's like this. It's like God wants to give you $1 billion and he just dumps it on your head and you died, because $1 billion worth of cash fell on your head and you died,
It was
right?
because it was heavy.
It was heavy. But if God wanted to give you
Okay.
$1 billion and you figured out
Hmm.
how to make a funnel that it made it come down, and then someone
Hmm.
was there counting it, and then someone was there dishing it out, and if you could set up a whole system, with ladders like really, really tall going up like a few thousand feet, and you had to spend it right away because otherwise it would just fall on you and die. But if you could figure out a way, then boom, 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 you're dishing it out, you're feeding everybody, you're making, you're giving everybody energy, you're cleaning everything up. It's this it's called upper light. The upper light is coming down onto our world in such a um,
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. It's
Yeah.
coming in so powerfully right now. We need
Mm.
to create a way to absorb. If we don't, anyway, we're going to see more and more division and more and more division, and eventually we'll have like the big volcanoes, literal
Oh,
volcanoes, and
okay. Okay, let me throw something here. Okay, into the mix. So we were disconnected from social media for 6 or 7 hours, something like that. Social media blackout. After years of being connected to it 24/7, we haven't even noticed that we became so uh, you know controlled, dominated, manipulated, whatever you want to call it, by these networks. And um, and what if we need to, or we could, build a completely different kind of social network that will allow us to do exactly what you're talking about, to do just that, to prepare ourselves as a society to receive uh, uh, that light, or nature's uh, force of development, in the right way. You hear what I'm saying? You know what I mean? The
I got distracted by the chat. I wanted to see what's going on over there. Tell me again.
Okay.
Or
Okay,
as
I'll,
my
I'll
kids
just go.
say,
I'll
that
just
I
go.
was that
Go
I
ahead.
was listening, but just in case, can you say it all over again?
That's a smart one. Um, yeah. One second. The I think my colors are too hot.
Okay. Now
There we
you're
go.
full screen.
Okay. The okay. So what is happening today in social media and in society in general, in life? We are playing a certain kind of game in society, and in that game, your personal growth, everyone's personal growth, is measured by how can I be more or have more than others. That's essentially the game we are all playing. If you summed up what human beings are doing with each other, towards each other, on the face of planet Earth right now, and for the past couple of 100 years, at least in a very obvious way, but very much in the last century, that's kind of what we're doing. And that's what drives advertising, and that's what drives business, and that's what drives, innovation as well, of course. scientific progress, but we're playing this game where you see your next milestone in life, you see personal growth as achieving more in relation to what you can compare yourself to, which is only other people, what who they are and what they have. So the social media networks, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, what they did is they didn't really do anything new. They took that existing game, they took that social game that we're playing, and they just electrified it. Electrified it, you know what I mean? They applied it to
Digitized it.
digitize it. Thank you. They applied it to the wires. Yeah, they applied it to the virtual space. But they took the exact same thing. You know, the like button. What's the like button? You know, it's hitting on your most kind of primal, you know, social validation, social affirmation thing. Oh, I need how many people liked my thing. You know what I mean? Like, so it's and the algorithms that were built over the years, and they're studying us, and they're doing they're customizing our experience based on what we're doing. It's all feeding the same feedback loop, the same game, where personal growth is, you know, seeing myself, my next self, my next state of progress as being more, having more than others. So, and again, it could be more power, more money,
That
more
al-
fame, more
that
knowledge.
also
Yeah.
plays out in, yeah, it also plays out in, you know, arguing with other people and getting in conversational battles with people. I need to prove my point, she needs to prove her
Yes.
point, and it's also causes a lot of problems.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but here's the thing, the social networks, they play a role here. They play the social networks, meaning the platform that we're on, the buttons that we click, the algorithms that serve us content, this automated machine that is the host of our relationship, the playground. The playground has such rules that are built into it that they only reinforce that kind of game that we're playing. They're
It's
that's what they're
impossible.
doing.
It's
Yeah.
impossible that they could create anything better. Whether or not you have a whistleblower, 5 whistleblowers, 10 whistleblowers, whether or not the government makes any kind of rules, it is absolutely 100% impossible that anyone can create any social media. Any of these people will be able to create anything that will create good in the world. The only thing they will end up doing is creating more destruction because what we're revealing now is a very special process called the recognition of evil, which is our true nature, humanity's true nature. And humanity's true nature is to enjoy, which in and of itself is not a problem at all. But without the understanding of how the system works, we're all trying to enjoy at the expense of each other.
Yeah.
Wisdom, Kabbalah means to receive. The whole wisdom is how to receive. If we could be fulfilled by just receiving the way we are, we would have no need for any of this. But everybody, we see the whole world is deteriorating, and that deterioration is speeding up. And it's actually very, very important what's happening now, because it is a revelation of our true nature. And what that means is, if you didn't know, if a person didn't know that they were sick, they wouldn't know that they need a remedy. And before that, if a baby is sick, the parent takes care of it. The baby's totally unconscious. So we're not going to be babies anymore. We're on our way to a perception. We're on our way where I literally, this material reality almost dissolves, not almost, this reality dissolves away. We're on our way as humanity to a spiritual life, an eternal life, beyond time and space, beyond this incarnation of this body. That's where we're headed. It's impossible for politicians or Silicon Valley people to create something to bring us to get us there. However, what they can do, and what is required by all of humanity, is to build, to build that. There's nothing that's redundant, and there's no one who did anything bad, actually. through that same lens, because it's like, Asaf, we're gonna share the link to your presentation when this is over, and I hope everyone gets a chance to watch it. If you can see it from that perspective, you understand that this is all built in order to take us there. Imagine you wake up in the morning. Imagine if every person on Earth, or let's start with half the people on Earth, or even a quarter of the people on Earth, they each have a group of, say, 10 friends, right? A virtual group, doesn't matter where they are in the world. And when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you log into that platform, like Facebook, whatever it is, okay? And when you get in there, you play a song together to wake up. You know, you have your coffee together, you make your special juice or your smoothie together, and someone says, someone reads something or sings something or inspires everybody, talks about something great, uplifts everyone's spirit. And then after that, you go into your life. You go do whatever work you have to do. You go take care of your responsibilities. Somewhere in the middle of the day, you jump into your network again,
Yeah.
and you listen to a song, you get your spirit uplifted, you feel confident about life, and then you go back into your life. You do this at a few periods of the day, and then everybody goes into the day feeling uplifted. Everyone goes into the day feeling optimistic.
And the system, it's not supposed to force itself on you. You know what I mean? Like this is a huge difference. If we're envisioning the future social network here, right, that will work based on completely different principles, then one of them would be that it's not designed to just, always um, um, just force itself on you. It will rather create a desire. It will help you build your desire for your next level of development, not in a forceful way. You know what I mean. Like these tools, how it works with, like, with the phone, how it's always on, and with the notifications and all that. It's always trying to get something out of us. It's not trying to help us. It's not trying to the systems of today, they have their own needs and wants from us, and we need to serve them, whether it's by giving information about ourselves, watching advertisements, spending more time on these platforms. We're becoming commodities.
So
And yeah.
something very special happens when we start doing this. When we Has anyone ever had that experience where um, you're thinking about your mom, and then she calls you, and you're
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah,
some,
something
right?
like that. Sure.
Okay. Okay. So that's real. Okay. We're in a network. So once you start doing this with people, and you start aiming your, it's not like you're joining this meeting, but simultaneously you're, trying to get your work done, or you're scrolling through other videos. Well, no, but if you invest yourself into this process, then even when the connection is off on the internet,
Hmm.
you literally still feel this, I don't know if you would say the thoughts of the others, the desires of the others. You start to feel, suppose there's that group there that you connect
Hmm.
to. Suppose each person has some kind of group that they connect to, that they're responsible for uplifting each other's spirits. That's their group there. That group itself begins to have its own identity, its own kind of virtual identity, in not just on the phone, but in the air. It's those people starts
In
to
their heart, in each and every person's heart, I would say, in their
okay.
consciousness, in their mental uh, image. There's a phenomenon that I think anyone is familiar with. If you live for a long time with a person, a sibling or a wife, a husband, um, anything of that sort, you after a while you stop seeing their external face. You know what I mean? Like for to me, my wife is it's an entity, but it's a model within me. that I relate
What
to.
explain
It's
that, because that's very important, because we in spirituality we talk about this. Bala Sulam talks about and our teacher talks about it a lot, that we're building inside of us a model of
that.
why don't you tell us about that,
Well,
because
there's
everything that we're doing is really taking place inside of us. So what are we building
yeah. I
inside of
don't
us?
know.
What
I
does
don't
it
know
mean
what
to build something inside of
angle
us?
we should open up here, because it may be too much perception of reality now, or and that will take us away from.
Stick around the system that we wanted to talk about, the
Okay,
from that
so
perspective.
the system, the virtual system of the future, that will be uh, that will be a system that will enable human beings to arrange themselves in such a way that they will be able to produce a different kind of force through their relationship. Okay, let me say it kabbalistically, and then maybe we can. Kabbalistically speaking, the goal of this whole internet thing, uh, the reason nature, allowed us to create this thing, is because we can use it to influence, to consciously influence our own development, more specifically to accelerate our own development. That it's the whole difference between a human and other animals, is that we can consciously participate in our own development, and the internet is part of that. It's part of that. We should be using the internet for a higher purpose. It's not by chance. Look, without the materialization of this thing called internet in the material world, you and I wouldn't know each other. Have you thought about that? That's crazy, right? Just think about it. This so seemingly technical system, it just appears as a technical thing. It's a milestone in human development, in the human network that is gradually discovering its global connection. Without
Well,
this thing, yeah,
speak about, like,
what?
for example, what the printing press is a technology, and then
Right.
everything that cascades after that, or the combustion engine is a technology, and then everything that cascades after that. So the internet is a technology, and then it's kind of like a next step for the species.
Well, first of all, with every technology, we create a technology, it becomes our environment, and then in a feedback loop, it feeds us and changes us. So we design our tools design us in return. This is
Explain
something
that.
that this
Explain
is
that.
something that's happening. Well, if you put take the simplest example, I don't know, if you put something new in your house, whatever it is, I don't know, a TV. Okay, you put a TV in your house. Before you had a television in your house, you you lived your life without it, and now it's in your house, and you start making all kinds of calculations based on that have to do with that device. Now you maybe are thinking about creating a situation where you sit in the evening with your kids or something like that, and you watch something together. So that has influenced your social relationships, your and your thoughts and your behavior, right? The so the because it's a part of our environment. Our technology is a part of our environment, and we are creatures of environment. We are constantly malleable and manipulated and shaped and designed and molded by our environment. We are very sensitive. We constantly respond to it. So with the internet, and specifically with these social networks, what has happened is that it's the way we use them so far is we just compounded our egoistic game. We took the same game that we were playing, and we gave it more volume. Why? Because now every person can at least believe that millions of people can listen to him, can hear him, that he can affect millions of people. Because now we just we extended the range of the same game. But what we can actually do with this system, because it's so influential upon us, because it has the potential and the power to shape our thoughts, behaviors, and actions and relationships, we have this hidden ability with the internet in changing our whole game, like the whole game. So, um, okay,
Do it. Do it.
no, because it's more than that. It's more than that. The internet could be. I don't want to be misconstrued, but we'll have to explain
We'll
this.
straighten it out afterwards. Just let
The
it out.
internet can be a place that enables us to, in a Kabbalistic language, to draw the light that reforms in order to correct our nature. It can really be that. Now, how is that possible? I'm not saying that technology by itself has spiritual power. No, nothing in this world does. But what it does enable us, the internet itself will never correct the human being. No social network will be able to do that. But there is a force that's a force of nature that's generated between people when they achieve a certain relationship. So think about how
Everybody who was at the retreat felt that, by the way.
of course that for them, they feel it. It doesn't need to be explained. They felt, sure, for sure, some of them felt it more,
Through
some
the
felt it
connection,
less,
something happened.
but something happens. You are elevated, your consciousness is elevated to a higher place. How does that happen? Look, it's like any other force in nature. How do we make electricity? How do we make electricity? Right? Today there's tons of different ways. There's hydroelectric, and there's the traditional electric generators, and there's a photovoltaic methods. There's all kinds of them. Wind, solar, whatever. But basically, what we're taking some primary sources of energy, and we are transforming that into a different kind of energy. We don't create electricity. We can't create any kind of energy. We are not nature. Nature is giving us energy in a certain form, be it coal or water, steam or whatever, and we learn how to build a certain relationship between uh,
Nature, over a lot of time made things die, made things go into the ground. We figured out how to take it out and power our computers off of it and power our cars off of it and whatever. Nature made a sun. We This is
yeah.
all dead stuff. This is all dead stars or dead animals or dead plants or dead sea creatures. It's just It's just I'm just highlighting your point. We're not making anything. This is all
We're
stuff
not
that came
making anything. It came from the
from
Big
nature.
Bang. Ultimately, from 13.8 billion years ago, all the energy that we're using today in any shape or form came from there. We never created any energy, but what we do is we learn how to harness it, and we convert and transform certain sources of energy into a different kind of energy. A similar thing happens when people between themselves they use the natural energies that they are given. We all have egos. We all have this natural ego drive. But if we learn how to relate to each other and to our ego in a certain way, we can use that to make a new kind of fuel. That's the whole thing, and that's something that Kabbalists call, attracting the light that reforms. Or if you don't understand it, it sounds mystical, but it's a very technical thing. So the what's strong about the internet? Why is that such a big deal? In a Why is there any spiritual significance? Because the internet allows you to bring together people in masses. You do not have any other tool that is able to bring millions and millions of people to be on a certain platform, play by the same rules, above time, above space, above geography, in a single shared cyberspace, virtual space. And if you use that quantity of people and just give it the right direction, the right put on the right game, the right rules of the right game, they will begin to generate a different kind of force between them. And so instead of the current social game that we're playing, where it's just I see others, I'm envy at them because I want more than them, or to be more or have more than them. Now we will, in this new social network, if we build a social network that's based on Kabbalistic principles, and ultimately in the future we will find ourselves uh, doing something like that, because there's not going to be any other choice. But anyway, when we build a social network that's built on these principles, we will still be encountering our ego, but we will do it within a different kind of context, in a different kind of game. So instead of just trying to maximize our ego to be more or have more than others, we'll discover more layers of our ego and how we can transform it to contribute to the whole system.
When you look at what failed in the past, for example, John Lennon wrote that song Imagine.
Hmm.
Incredible. Imagine there's no heaven and hell. Imagine everybody living life in peace. Bob
But
Marley
here's the
sang,
thing. What is that saying? It's basically saying, imagine there's no ego. That's
okay,
the
so here's where,
problem. This
okay,
is the problem. Yeah.
communism also was like, right. So the Kabbalist song would be like, imagine you're a giant egoist, but you had, no, I'm just kidding.
So
So,
the Kabbalist would say, imagine that you can use all your ego in the
ima-
service of the whole system. That's the whole difference. And then indeed all the people with all their colors and all their diversity and all their differences would be able to build something together that's greater than themselves. They won't
right.
be able to, yeah.
This whole communist movement, it doesn't, it can't be successful because it doesn't deal with a person's motivations. You can't take away a person's motivations. These are um, fundamental elements in in
Yeah,
us, the same way that you have a proton and an electron. These are elements that are
exactly.
in us that can't be eradicated. So what then here's why no politician, no bureaucrat, no Silicon Valley person can do this. They don't have this wisdom to understand what is this which is what the wisdom of reception, the wisdom of Kabbalah tells us. You want to receive everything, right? That's what all these systems are. How can I receive peace? How can I receive food? How can I receive all of my pleasures fulfilled? There is a way. We're going to understand that. So what happens is when we build this system and we start, when the Kabbalists explain how this connection should be organized, then what you're saying is through that group of people who begins to organize themselves in that certain way, that $1 billion from the sky starts flowing into it, arranged in the correct way. And then people start to feel and see a new way that it can be. It's not enough to just explain to some. Everybody says, oh, there should be peace. Everybody can say, it should be good. It's not enough to say it. That's the very, very, very unique thing about this wisdom, is the method. How to arrange this thing. So the fact that there's an internet, great. You can either have horrible crimes on those wires, organizing horrible crimes on those wires, or like you said, you could actually draw the upper light by arranging, not through the wires, but through all of those people connecting in a certain way. People start to feel eternal. Can you say that they could start to feel eternal? They would start to feel that they have
Well,
they
that's
don't,
something that obviously for for people who have no idea what Kabbalah is talking about, that would be hard to swallow. But yeah, if we can, uh, Kabbalah is talking about the this reality that it already exists all around us, and that shared higher reality is something we need to plug into. And if the internet can help us change our mindset and change our relationships, then it can help us plug into that higher realm. So yes.
There, um, there was a
The,
question that Chris wrote here. Hold on, let me see where it was. Stacy M. Hi, Stacy. I don't know if we know each other yet. Stacy said, "Can we stay in the present and not worry about preparing and predicting and programming and all that?" All that.
why be afraid of the future if you can uh, be hopeful about it? I don't know.
No, but
No,
is it enough to
there's good
just
reason
is
to be afraid of the future. I agree with that, sure. But
is it enough to just learn about it and just start to participate in it? What about my whole life and getting food in my kitchen and for my kids and all that kind of stuff?
yeah, sure. Well, I don't know, Stacy. We're not saying here that that if you start practicing this method of connection between people, that you should neglect and throw away your whole life. No, you build it in parallel to whatever it is you have to do in life.
So why wouldn't
Is that
okay,
the
so
question
fine.
though? Yeah.
Okay, so fine. So I'm Stacy. I'm going to, make sure that there's food in my fridge, whatever I have to do, and I'm going to make sure that, everything's good. But why don't I have to worry?
To worry about what? About worry about what? About the
If I'm,
future?
yeah, yeah, we're like, okay, I'm in. I'm in. Why is there hope here?
Why is there hope? That's a different question. I think that worries exist. The greatest Kabbalists had concerns and worries that it's not. It doesn't go
Different worry
away.
though. Different worry
Yeah,
though.
yeah. It takes on a different spin. That's right. Because if it's just a matter of importance. Whatever becomes important to you in life becomes the most also the thing that you're most concerned about. It's the thing that's most precious to you. It's the thing that you care about the most. Now, if spiritual development and spiritual growth and getting in touch with that spiritual reality becomes a great thing, a source of pleasure, a source of elevation for you, a source of freedom, of fresh air, of a higher level of fulfillment, then you begin to worry about that. And everything that you do in life on the face of earth, you either do because you have to do it, or you find a way where it can help you strengthen your connection, your contact with that higher fulfillment. Is that what we're talking about? I'm not sure what was the
I think so. Imagine, wow, you could really have a billion people
online.
connected to an event together. That's crazy, right?
That's okay. So in a nutshell, this is again
It's mind blowing.
this touches, yes, it is, and it touches on why this internet thing that has evolved in the last less than a century is so important, because the potential of it is so big. There's this, again, I'm gonna be technical for just a second. There's this rule, there's this law of nature that Kabbalists discover, which is that there's an opposite relationship between lights and vessels. And I'm not going to get into it. But one of the results of that is that quality and quantity behave in very different ways. And so, what you would gain with a little bit of quality, you can also gain with a lot of quantity. And so the I'm just trying to really dumb it down here. So when a lot of people, when millions of people will start playing a different kind of game between them, thanks to a virtual platform that will be able to bring together all these people across time and space, and in such a mass of people, and only the internet can do that. And two, make them play by different rules, because there will be built-in limitations that will necessitate them to behave in a certain way towards each other. Right. I don't know how exactly it will look like. Like, Twitter has a limit of 240 characters or something, right? In Facebook, you have those reaction buttons or like buttons or whatever. Instagram has its own thing. So I don't know how exactly that future social network will look like. But the goal of it is that it will shape a different kind of relationship between people, in which they will be able to look at their ego in a different way, look at their connection with others in a different way, and begin to produce a new kind of energy between them, something that we are not even familiar with. We have the people who were in the Kabu retreat, they understand it. They are now, if they were there, uh, they can feel what I'm talking about. But this is something that humanity hasn't felt in millions of people. When that happens, on just the slightest degree, when that happens in that kind of quantity, the whole world will already be moving fast towards its next level of development. That's why it's such a crazy thing that's happening with social networks and social media and the internet in general. We've built, without realizing it, we have our hands on the actual device that can take us to a higher level of life, to a higher level of existence. It didn't happen by chance. This is part of it, has an evolutionary function, this internet. And yet at the moment, we have no idea what we're doing with it. So people are just like, oh, let's make another TikTok. Let's make let's get people to just be addicted to seeing
But
videos
this
of
is
a few seconds.
it's
Yeah.
very good, because what we see, Asaf, can you find your presentation from Sunday, and let's get, and maybe Chris can post it in the chats everywhere. But what we see is great. The crap on TikTok, it's great. The crap on Facebook, it's great. The fighting on Twitter, it's great. We see that everything is devolving, 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 and what we're seeing is that humanity will feel that we're up against a wall, that we are tired, that we don't have a choice. We don't have any other choice but to start to connect, and then after that, people will be interested. They say that the books of the wisdom of Kabbalah was hidden. It's not because it was hidden because you can't find a book. I mean, it was difficult to find a book, but it wasn't hidden because that is because nobody wants it. It's because even if you take the book into your hand and you read the book, it still doesn't enter you. It doesn't enter
Yeah.
you until you um, start to make yourself a little bit like it. If you make yourself 1% like it, then it enters you 1%. If you make yourself 2% like it, it makes your it enters you 2%. And what is it at the end of the day? It's the wisdom of how to receive endless abundance. That's the whole thing. So the whole goal is for all of reality, for all of humankind, and not only humankind, all of through our connection, the planets will, Jupiter and Venus are doing this whole, I mean, I'm sure all of the planets are. I just was looking at Jupiter and Venus this weekend. I mean, not since we got back, they're doing this whole thing of like protecting Earth from like these asteroids and stuff coming in. Like
Mm.
everything
Hmm.
will discover more and more. This whole system is all supporting you. Everything, the planets, the galaxies, the solar system, it's all part of our inner world projected outside of us. And the more we start to arrange ourselves a little bit more and a little bit more through these networks, doing events like we did this past weekend, connecting together, uplifting each other, the light shines into that corrected vessel. And then that Hawaii, that volcanic Hawaii, starts to look like that new Hawaii, where everything
Hmm.
starts to come into balance, and there's the nice
Hmm.
waterfalls and the birds flying over and the pineapples and everything beautiful.
Well, look at I've been holding on to this example for a while. Didn't know where to stick it, but look at like every advancement in humanity has always come from some failure. You know, like airbags. Some disaster. Oh, I didn't think about that. Didn't know that we would die so horrifically just going 30 miles an hour. Everything that has happened, we've seen just some kind of failure and thought, oh, okay, we need to move it. But I didn't really hear today, although Seth did kind of mention like it just looks horrendous. TikTok and all these and Instagram, how it's causing depression among women, girls, and all these different problems. But no one really says, oh, we need to add an airbag. No one really sees like the solution for it. That's kind of what
Hmm.
it sounds like you're saying.
Because yeah, because the solution for it, first of all, if you there's this how's the Netflix documentary
The,
about
the social dilemma or
the
something like
social
that.
dilemma. First of all, I think it's you're not going to hear anything so new there, but I think if people didn't watch it, they should. It's just kind of basic. By now, it's basic stuff that everyone I think is knows. But it's one of the conclusions. Like I think is like the highest level of conclusion that someone gets to there in the film is like, in order to really change things in social media, we're going to have to change economics as well. Someone says it there. And it was funny to me to look at it. I'm like, obviously, the thing is, from a Kabbalistic perspective, it's obvious, but we are going through the great transition. This is not going to, we can't just, um, there is a multifaceted integrated transformation that we're going through on all levels of life, all realms of life. So we have to change the whole game that we're playing with each other as human beings. We have to begin to just live a different kind of life, play a different kind of game. And so you can't just change one thing and make it better. You can't. It won't. But what you can do is you can begin to play with it and thereby produce this new energy or draw this influence from higher states of evolution that are already embedded in our DNA. Kabbalists call this attracting the surrounding light, right? And thereby we will gradually upgrade ourselves so we can create a better world. And that's the only way it's going to work. We're not going to be able to change anything without changing ourselves in
Let's do one
parallel.
more question
Yeah.
before we go.
Okay.
Julie
Let's
Dehan
do it.
on the Kabbalah Info YouTube says that she heard in your presentation that nothing's going to shift until every last human connects. So
No.
what happens
No,
to the
no,
ones?
no.
Okay, let me read her question,
Okay.
then you can think.
Hmm.
She says, "I heard that nothing will shift for us until every last human connects. What happens to the ones who are not on that wavelength?"
No, 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 Julie. Maybe I explained myself. I think someone asked about the material world and when will it disappear, and that's when you're gonna have to for those who don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch that presentation, and then I think that's what it was about. No, 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 no.
Chris, is the
The
is the link
change,
in both places
but
on all the chats?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Posted in both.
just to clarify, the so Julie, no, no, the everything is already beginning to change, and we are right now influencing this, and everything is changing. And the more people are aware of what nature has in store for us, the more we try to go there of our own accord, the less nature has to push us. So we are there's a total relationship. There's a complete relationship between what's happening today in human consciousness and the kind of world that we see around us. So the shift is already happening. It's just a question of how much of it we will be able to master versus being victims of it. That's the thing. The transition has to happen. Nature has a process, evolution is going forward. We just have the potential, the ability to be conscious in the process and thereby experience it in a completely different way. And it's exactly what we're doing. It's exactly what we want to do. Um, so yeah. Um, and you also
Thanks.
influence other people even when you're not aware of it. It's yeah. different.
Last
Yeah.
point. We were in the hall at that camp up there, and we got a question from Seraphim. Seraphim, it was really cool to hear your voice over the network while we were there. Um, and Seraphim asked, is the next level? I think the question was something like, is the next level telepathic? After the internet. And
Mm.
I think Leo answered the question that even telepathy is still within. It's not. It's still within this
Yeah,
system.
because
And
telepathy implies communication that does not require speaking, for instance, right? Or uttering a word, but it's still communication that is required. When we're talking about a spiritual reality, we're talking about a connection where we become pieces of the same system. We become one, rising up the spiritual ladder, going to higher states of consciousness, and becoming one with reality is the same thing. That's where it all became from one point, and that's where it all comes back to, only with our consciousness. Sorry, I totally took your
no,
you
that
were
was
about.
it. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Seth, one
Okay.
of the things you did in the retreat also was playing music. How about you grab that guitar and we'll end today's show with a live song. What do you think? Everyone
I
who
would be happy to.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
It
I
was
was just
very,
I
very
was just
difficult.
about to apply social pressure here using the chat, but
There was
you
very
caved in quickly.
difficult conditions.
You
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next Thursday, everybody, 2 p.m. Eastern. Take it away, man.
How's the sound?
Pretty good. Yep.
Somewhere in the still of the night, a whisper of love awakens inside. Somewhere in the dark there's a flame, a light in our hearts, guiding us through the pain. Here's a chasing after the wind, but the treasures of life are hidden within. The answer will come down from above, piecing all of the worlds in one vision of love. And from our hearts we'll sing one song, all voices as one in the rhythm of love. And from our hearts we'll sing one song, our voices as one in the rhythm of love. A melody rises with the sun, from the silence it came, and it calls everyone. United here we stand with one voice. It's a time to give thanks, it's a time to rejoice. And everything is clear to see, and the walls are no more between them and me. Together in this ocean of love, from the depths of our hearts, united as one. And from our hearts we'll sing one song, our voices as one in the rhythm of love. And from our hearts we'll sing one song, our voices as one in the rhythm of love. And from our hearts we'll sing one song, our voices as one in the rhythm of love. And from our hearts we'll sing one song, our voices as one in the rhythm of love.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye bye.